So, Ginger.
Yeah?
You know how we wanted to start a podcast, but we were having trouble coming up with a topic?
Yeah?
Okay, so here's my pitch. The topic of the podcast is us trying to come up with the topic for the podcast.
What, like we pitch each other podcast ideas and that's the podcast?
Yeah, exactly. We could call it, What Should Our Podcast Be About?
Miles, that's really stupid. Let's do it.
What should this song be about? I'm trying to figure it out. What should this song be about? Could you perhaps help me out? I've had a moment of doubt. What should this song be about? Welcome to What Should Our Podcast Be About? The podcast where we try to figure out what this podcast that you're listening to right now should be about. I'm Miles Grover.
And I'm Ginger Barham.
And last week we were sick.
Mm-hmm.
You might still be able to hear it in our voice a little bit, or my voice anyway. I feel like there's a snot bubble that's like encompassing the entirety of my sinuses, and I'm just waiting for it to pop.
You got that, like, you've been drinking a lot of milk sound.
Yeah, a little bit phlegmy. At least it feels that way.
Yeah.
Hopefully I won't be making too many weird noises into the microphone, but
I feel like I'm still a little nasally, but...
Yeah. What else is new? Boom. Roasted.
Whoa, you got me. You got me good.
Got him. So yeah, last week we were sick. The week before that, we talked about all those cool things that the kids say,
Uh-huh.
such as boom roasted,
Such as boom roasted.
proving that I am indeed young and cool, because I just said that.
Yeah. It sounds so dorky, though. It does. It sounds like somebody, like, nerdy trying to be cool. Maybe that's the point.
That's little kids, though,
Yeah.
right? That's what little kids do.
Yeah.
Flossing dance isn't actually cool, right? It's a nerdy dance,
Yeah.
right? You look
Yeah,
like a
okay.
big freaking nerd,
Fair.
but it became all the rage with little kids or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, this week we are talking about other things, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry if I just stepped on all your ideas about a podcast about the flossing dance and stuff.
Yeah, I
but,
crossed it off my list.
Yeah. Do you have ideas, or do you want me to start? Or...
I have a couple ideas.
Okay. You want to start?
Sure.
Go for it.
Okay. My first idea is a cheese podcast.
Cheese podcast. All right. End of statement.
End of statement.
Okay.
No, it's a podcast where we just discuss cheeses, our favorite cheeses.
Okay.
I might just want to eat cheese right now.
Sure.
I always want to eat cheese.
When don't you? Yeah. When don't we all? Except
Yeah.
for, I guess, lactose intolerant people, maybe.
People
but
who are vegan. But
Or
there's
vegan
some
people,
good
yeah.
vegan cheeses too.
disagree.
Well, you have not tried all of the
I haven't
vegan
tried all of the
cheeses.
vegan cheeses, but everyone I have tried has not remotely made me think of cheese.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
I mean, maybe it
there's
sometimes
some-
looks a little bit like cheese.
there's some good ones out
Although
there.
a lot of times it doesn't even look like cheese. Like I've had nachos, like vegan nachos with cheese on them. It's like cashew cheese or something. And it's literally just some yellow goop on there. It's like, well, yellow isn't the only property of cheese.
I mean, I've had some vegan nachos I enjoyed, but they're different for sure. I mean, they're different than cheesy nachos.
I have never had vegan nachos that I would eat if I had better options at the time. They're fine. I'm not offended by having eaten them, but I would never go out of my way to eat them.
Mm.
If we're at a vegan restaurant and it's like an option, I guess I might try it. But
Yeah.
anyway, this is not really that important because we're talking about
my
actual
idea
cheese.
was not an anti-vegan podcast.
No. And I'm not anti-vegan. I'm just not vegan and don't like a lot of vegan food. But cheese, I mean, I guess we could try vegan cheeses as part of that podcast. A cheese podcast.
I mean, there's vegan foods that you like.
Yeah,
Tortilla chips,
French
for
fries
instance.
and stuff. Sure. Yeah. There's foods, but not vegan versions of a regular food
Right.
or whatever. So far, I haven't found any of those. That I
Vegan
particularly
food
care
is
for.
just regular food, by the way.
No, not really.
It's food. It's just different ingredients.
Right, but if
It makes it sound
if you have a
like
vegan hamburger,
I'm
it's
just-
not a regular hamburger.
I'm just pointing out that like saying like normal regular foods versus vegan foods kind of others it a little bit.
Okay, but I guess I see where you're coming from, but like an Impossible burger or whatever is not a regular burger. It's not a normal burger. It's a burger where they've replaced the normal ingredients that everyone means when they say burger with different ones,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
In the same way that a mountain goat is not a regular goat.
But wouldn't it be nice if the normal did not involve killing animals?
It would be nice. I don't know that I like where this is going right now, though, because I don't really want to do a podcast about the ethics of, consuming meat and stuff.
Yeah, well, okay.
It's kind of a bummer.
It is kind of a bummer. It's not the happiest topic.
Yeah. And I don't think I have anything funny to say about it because most of the funny, like, quote unquote, funny things are just mean or whatever. And I actually don't have anything. I don't have anything against vegetarianism or veganism. I just don't do them, right? So I don't have any, like, dunks
You do
on
a little
them.
bit since I cook for you.
I don't think that eating vegetables
I don't make.
sometimes.
I won't cook meat, so
Right, but I still eat meat regularly.
Well, I wouldn't say regularly. You
Well,
eat it if we're
at least
ordering
once
out.
a week, pretty much, right?
Yeah.
At least. Regardless, I do not adhere to those diets, but I also don't have any dunks on them. So
Yeah.
I don't feel like it's a terribly fruitful avenue for this podcast.
Okay. Well,
Let's get back to cheese.
Okay. I mean, I'm fine with getting back to cheese.
Yes.
Clearly, I'm not vegan. I am vegetarian.
Right.
I find cheese is the I can't quit cheese.
Yeah.
Cheese, I can't quit you.
I feel like people lately to get back on the topic I just said I didn't want to talk about. I feel like lately people I've noticed seem to forget that vegetarianism is a thing.
Yeah.
And think it's only you eat everything or you're a vegan.
Yeah.
Like I heard some people talking about like it's funny to have an Impossible Burger with cheese on it. Well, no, not if you're not a vegan. That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and arguably, like the dairy industry does even worse things to animals than the meat industry. Like you have animals existing in conditions that are pretty horrific. Like you could argue like just killing an animal would be
better.
More merciful. So I get it. But yeah, there's all kinds of people have all kinds of diets, right?
Right. And people do them for ethical reasons or just for medical reasons or just for lots of different reasons. But again, I don't super want to go down that route. I was just noticing something lately where it seems like people don't remember that you can just be vegetarian or have various different kinds of diets than just being vegan or
because
eating
when
everything.
I tell people I'm vegetarian, they do automatically assume vegan.
Yeah, they're like, oh, so you can't have cheese.
Or like if we're at a restaurant and I ask if something has meat in it, they do make sure to tell me that it has dairy if it has dairy in it, but not meat. And
right, which makes sense in those in that context.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, anyway.
It's actually kind of, I mean, it's refreshing, I think, because there was a time when you would ask if something had meat in it and like you had to be really specific.
Right.
Like, no, I mean, if it has beef broth in it, that's meat.
Right.
Like, I feel like the world has gotten a little bit more friendly towards people not eating meat and dairy and such. So I'd rather that than the way it used to be.
Yeah, for sure. But we're not talking about cheese again.
Yeah. Okay. So cheese.
So cheese is good. We both like cheese.
Cheese is excellent.
What's your favorite cheese?
Oh, my favorite cheese. That's hard because they're all so different. I really like brie. Really like brie.
Uh-huh.
Goat cheese is up there.
Mm-hmm.
The tangier, the better.
Mm-hmm. That's how I feel about just flavor in general.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of tanginess.
Yeah.
It's
Now
not
I want
exactly cheese, but it's like my favorite sauce. I mean, there's different kinds of sauce.
Oh, are we going to talk about that Quiznos sauce?
Is this the stuff from Quiznos on their chicken carbonara subs? Yeah. It's like this, like, I guess it's a Parmesan white creamy sauce. So I guess it's cheese kind of, but it doesn't particularly taste Parmesan-y to me. It's just like pure tang. It's very, very good. Like creamy and tangy. Those together are like, mwah.
Chef's kiss.
Yes. And I've tried to find recipes for it because there's no Quiznos around here, of course, anymore.
There's not very many Quiznos around anywhere anymore.
Is that true?
They've mostly gone out of business, I think.
I mean, I know the places I've lived where they were in business, they seem to have mostly gone out of business, but I don't know if that's true, the world over or just in the places I've lived.
I mean, there might be a few.
Yeah.
But it seems like they're few and far between for sure.
It's a bummer because I really like that sandwich. And if I could get one right now, I would get two.
It's weird to me that like they didn't survive, but Subway did, because I feel like toasted sandwiches are much better than
it's not a quality thing. It's got to be like it's more expensive to run a Quiznos or something, right? Or maybe there was just like some kind of corporate mismanagement or whatever. But again, cheese is what we were talking about.
According to Google, as of October 2023, less than 150 U.S. Quiznos locations
Are still open. Bummer. That's weird. Yeah, but
closest one to us is in Connecticut. So if we move to Orange, Connecticut, you can have your fill of Quiznos.
oh yeah, unless it goes out of business right before we move there, like DP Dough did here.
Right.
Anyway,
DP Dough.
I feel like we're really.
I only
going
got
off.
to eat there a couple times. Maybe we could do a podcast about restaurants we wish were still open.
Yeah, I suppose.
I feel like that's a really sad thing. Like when a restaurant has something that, like, there was a restaurant in Seattle called The Globe that I really loved.
Yeah.
And they had this open-faced tofu sandwich. And I think regularly about, well, they closed. And I think regularly about how I didn't appreciate it the very last time I ate it.
Right.
Because I didn't know I would never eat it again.
I'm pretty sure we have talked about this exact thing.
Yeah.
A few episodes ago.
Yeah. Well, it's.
But yes.
I think about it a lot.
So this is making me feel like a cheese podcast would not stay very on topic about cheese.
I mean, we could just do a food podcast.
Right. Well, that does bring me to an idea I had along very similar lines. Actually, kind of two ideas. One is sort of reasonable and one's very bad.
Okay.
Which is a Cadbury mini egg fan cast. Because Cadbury mini eggs are definitely my favorite candy. We have some
Are they your
right now.
favorite chocolate?
Yeah. And we have some right now because it's like near enough to Easter
That they've started
that
selling
they're
them.
available.
But not near enough that everybody's aware and they're out of stock everywhere.
Right.
We're in that like sweet spot.
Right. It's pretty easy to get a few bags or whatever. So that's one idea, which is we talk about Cadbury mini eggs, and maybe during the off season we talk about our adventures in trying to obtain them.
Well, we could
which is mostly just like paying $30-$40 for a bag on like eBay or something. Yeah.
We could do. We don't do that.
No, I have paid extra for bags in the off season, but not that much.
Yeah. I think it's actually probably good that they're not available year round because we would be much rounder.
And it's a thing where we can, or egg shaped maybe. It's a thing where we can appreciate them when we have them, and appreciate what we don't have when we don't have it, I guess, or whatever. You know,
as long as
absence
they don't
makes the heart grow fonder, or whatever.
As long as they don't go away forever,
right?
Like some of our favorites,
like that tofu sandwich or whatever.
We could do a podcast that's about cheese and chocolate.
Cheese and chocolate, sure. The Cheese and Chocolate podcast.
Could we get a third C in there?
Cheese and chocolate and
communism.
Well, that works. I'm assuming you want the third C in there because you want CCCP.
Yeah, I'm nodding vigorously.
Yes,
I'm really proud of my joke.
That works. Yeah, because of course CCCP is Cyrillic. What the USSR's name looks like in Cyrillic.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty good. CCCP podcast. I guess podcast is redundant there, but because it's the chocolate, cheese, and communism podcast, right?
The chocolate, cheese, and communism
or the cheese,
podcast.
chocolate, yeah.
Come on, like you would listen to that.
I would. A lot of people would be pretty
sure.
confused probably when they first like see it.
Yeah.
And think it's about, I mean, I guess it's about communism too, but
yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
That's an interesting idea. My less good idea based on the Cadbury mini eggs is a podcast where because we were eating them as we did our test recording before we started recording, and the recording was crisp, very very audible.
You can hear me chomping.
It was the chewing was very very.
If that was your ASMR, you would have been having a good time.
Yeah. So the idea is a podcast where we just chew different things on the mic. See how it sounds.
God.
And some people, probably about 5 people in the world would like that, and everyone else would super hate it.
Yeah.
But it's for you 5 people.
I just am thinking back to like my customer service days.
I think we should try it
People
right
would
now.
call in and like eat while they were on the phone, and I'd be like, you couldn't wait 5 minutes to snack?
I think we should try it. I think we should both have a couple and just see how it sounds.
Do you just want Cadbury mini eggs right now?
Because they're... Oh no, I dropped one. No!
Tragedy.
This is where people listening to the podcast find out that I'm absolutely not too good to eat a Cadbury mini egg off the floor. And that's
we
what
just cleaned in here. It's fine.
It's reasonably clean. Yeah. Here we go. These have been in the freezer also, so they're extra crispy. chewing with my mouth open a little bit to hopefully get more of the sound into the microphone.
Now you got the visual in your head, listeners. Ew. That's awful.
That was not real.
Don't ever make that sound again. I hated that.
No guarantees. All right. So if you're still here, thank you for
There's
listening.
chewing and there's smacking.
Yeah. Smack. I was trying to make it as bad as possible.
Yeah. Well, it's successful, I would say.
I could probably make it worse, but let's not.
No.
So thank you for continuing to listen after that abomination we just did. So I'm guessing that's probably not going to be our idea for the week.
Is that our tagline for this podcast?
In general, probably. Do you have another idea?
Yes. It might be one of the stupidest ideas I've ever come up with.
Stupidest idea you've ever come up with. I think I've had most of the really stupid stupid ideas. So we'll see if you can get on my level.
It's pretty stupid. Well,
my idea was just chewing into the microphone as a
maybe
podcast.
Not. I mean, it depends. Like, there's different kinds of stupid. Right?
Sure. Okay.
So I think we've talked about soup before.
We certainly have.
We've definitely talked about bears before.
Yes.
So, and I might just want a podcast called this, but the idea for the podcast is soup bears.
Okay. Is that anything?
It's where we eat soup and talk about bears.
It's just okay. Okay.
So there'll be some slurping. There'll be a lot of slurping.
This
We could discuss the soups that we're eating before we eat them.
This falls in line with a number of. I think we've actually had 2 or 3 ideas where we eat something and talk about something else while we're doing it.
But soup bears is intriguing. You got to admit.
Soup bears.
If you saw a podcast called Soup Bears, you'd be like, "What's going on there?"
I feel like soup
find
bears.
out what's going on there.
Soup bears is hard to even kind of say because like the middle sound gets mushed into each other, right? You could
I
be
don't
saying,
find it hard to say at all.
Well,
I find it delightful to say.
I'm just saying, if you say soup bears, you could be saying soup bears, but you could also be saying
Supers?
suit bears. Bears wearing suits, right? Because when we say suit like that, we typically turn the last sound into a
Are
glottal
you saying
stop.
ring bearer or ring bear?
ring bear, yeah. But soup bears, or it could be something else. I don't know, soup bears or something. But I guess that's not really a material. You want to do a podcast where we eat soup and talk about bears.
I mean, if we want to do a podcast where we talk about the best suits for bears, I'm also on board with that.
Is not out of line with other ideas you've had. Okay, do you have any? What would you want to talk about bears?
It's possible I came up with this idea while I really wanted to eat soup.
Sure, but where do the bears come from?
I mean, I'm always thinking about bears.
You're just always thinking about bears. What about what? But it's soup bears. I mean, it's not like soup raccoons or soup llamas or something.
Doesn't
Something
have
made
the
you
same
pick
ring to it.
bears. Is the ring to it?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I just thought soup bears was funny.
Yeah, okay. I am not sure where to go with this idea, but all right. I mean, I guess I would like
this by saying it was one of the stupidest ideas I'd had.
I guess I would enjoy doing those things to some extent. We could also eat soup while we watch bear movies.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that would be even better audio.
Yeah, it's like slurp and somebody screaming in the background.
I think I did have one other idea. This is a listener submitted idea.
Oh, we have a listener submitted idea?
Yeah, our friend Heather had an idea.
All
I don't know
right.
how much legs it's got.
Do you think it has as many legs as soup bears? Because it's a pretty low bar.
Yeah, I mean,
Low bear?
bears walk on all fours, so I guess bears have more legs.
That's all right. Well, I haven't heard the idea, so maybe it involves centipedes or something.
The idea was a podcast about how much we like hanging out with Heather.
Okay, so it's pretty narrow casting.
Mm-hmm. If you don't know Heather, it's not going to be your jam.
Yeah, it's for Heather and people who know Heather.
Right.
And I guess specifically people who know her and like her, which is probably most people who
She's
know her.
very
But
likable.
okay, Heather's pretty cool.
She's got cool glasses.
Cool glasses, cool red hair.
Rory enjoys hanging out with her a great deal,
Mm-hmm.
which is excellent for us because that means sometimes we can leave the house.
I feel like she and I have some shared love of bright colors.
Yes.
Which is good.
She's definitely had suggestions for neon colors in our house.
Yeah, she's cool and fun to hang out with. If you don't know her, you should meet her.
You should get to know her, but we're not going to dox her.
Yeah, we're not going to give you any information about how to do that. But if you happen to get to know her, then you will enjoy this podcast.
If you know a Heather in your life, it
retrospect.
might be her.
I mean, it's possible.
Yeah. Well, actually, we know quite a few Heathers, so
That's true.
all
We know
the
some other
Heathers out
Heathers.
there are going to have trouble trying to figure out which Heather we're talking
So
about.
this could be a podcast about Heathers in general and how we like different Heathers.
Yeah.
Not just this
Not just the
particular
movie
Heather.
Heathers.
Or just the movie Heathers. We could also
Which
talk
is
about the
also
movie
excellent.
Heathers. A good, I haven't seen it in a long time. I don't know if it holds up, but
It's good.
but it probably is pretty good still.
I mean, I haven't seen it in quite a while, but I remember moments from it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a few like problematic things in it, obviously, but
I feel like one of the girls in that one keeps like yelling at Veronica to stop tugging on her dick or something like that, or stop pulling my dick, Veronica.
why are you pulling my dick,
Yeah,
Veronica?
something like that. Yeah.
She just says, why
Which
are you
is
pulling my dick, Veronica?
Pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
Especially for like somebody who presumably doesn't have a dick
It's
to say.
a movie that's for sure ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Like-
All right. Christian Slater's in it,
Yeah.
and that's something.
He's basically a terrorist in it.
Right. Okay, so a Heathers podcast.
A Heather's podcast.
Not specifically about the movie Heathers, but that is included.
But, yeah.
Also other Heathers we know.
Yeah. We should watch Heather's again.
Yeah, we should. I actually have, there's been a bunch of movies I've wanted to watch lately that are like old movies, like on our idea, on my piss tinted glasses idea of like looking at old stuff and seeing how it holds up and whatever.
Yeah.
And that could be on the list for that.
Yeah. Maybe we'll do that podcast someday.
Okay. I have more ideas.
You don't want to talk about Heather some more?
I feel like we've covered the idea. We can come back to it if we want to do that for our podcast like topic. But okay, so
Shout out to Heather. Thanks for the idea.
Thank you, Heather.
I hope you enjoyed hearing us talk about how awesome you are.
So I have an idea that's in line with some previous ideas, and the idea is called Christianz Bop with a Z.
No.
So it's an idea.
No.
Well, you gotta listen to the idea.
I'm not yes-anding this.
It's an idea where we take songs that are distinctly not Christian and make them Christian as a joke, which I guess is maybe a little insensitive to Christians, but I sort of don't care that much.
Yeah, except I don't want more Christian songs.
But they're bad, and it's
fun
funny.
of Christians.
Yeah, it's funny. Okay, so
Also, we should say like
plenty of Christians are good people.
We are aware there are plenty of like Christians out there that are not terrible.
Yeah.
But you got to admit, like, this country specifically is not giving you guys a good look.
Yeah, Christianity is the dominant religion in our country, and our half of the world basically, and certainly has a lot of bad things to its name. This is less about like the real crimes of Christianity and more about dorky people who are Christians and the lame kind of stuff that they would do if they were doing a Kids Bop thing. Because Kids Bop is like that too, right? Where it's like lame parents who don't want their kids to hear a swear word in a song, so they make a version of the song that totally changes it and is bowdlerized or whatever and terrible.
Do you have some examples? I assume you have
do.
some examples.
I do. So when I think of non-Christian music, like anti-Christian music, I guess, not in that it's against Christianity specifically, but in that Christians will very much not like it. The first thing I think of is Marilyn Manson.
Okay.
Right? And I guess he's probably also actually anti-Christian, or he or they or whatever. He, the man, and they, the band, I mean. Because the band's called Marilyn Manson, but he's also called Marilyn Manson.
But I do think there's other reasons to not listen to Marilyn Manson.
There's plenty. Although I did go back and look at some of their lyrics, and they're like pretty specific, like pretty explicitly anti-capitalist, which I didn't remember at the time and is kind of cool. But there's,
I appreciate that, but he's
been like
shit.
Me Too'd and whatnot.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't follow him. I don't pay much attention to him. I don't know the validity or even the extent of claims against him or whatever. I don't know. He's probably a piece of shit though, and that's fine. Whatever.
I mean, he dated what's her name when she was like.
Oh, Evan Rachel Wood or
Yeah.
whatever? Yeah. Anyway, the point is not about him. It's about taking songs that are very non-Christian and making them into dorky Christian songs. So he had a song called The Beautiful People that you may remember. The beautiful people, the beautiful people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. I remember.
And one day I got that song stuck in my head, but instead of and I don't even know why, because I don't particularly like that song or their music, but I got it stuck in my head as The Dutiful People.
Okay.
And it goes like this, a little something like this. The dutiful people, they pray every day in the church with the steeple. They always say bless you when you sneeze. They give thanks to God down on their knees.
Okay.
So there's that. I also, you're familiar with the Misfits?
Yes.
A band I actually do like.
Uh-huh.
Horror punk band, basically. And their songs are, I do like them. Their songs are, I guess, problematic if you take them literally, right? For example,
I've not listened to that many Misfits songs.
Okay,
so.
well, Last Caress.
Don't know it.
I got something to say. I killed a baby today, right? That's
okay.
It's a horror band, right?
Yeah,
it's supposed to be terrible stuff.
Yeah,
and there's the song gets worse from there, actually.
Okay.
But
well,
my
worse
version,
than Killing Babies.
Yes.
Okay.
Or arguably, anyway.
I assume it's tongue in cheek, but
well, I don't know if it's tongue in cheek. It's not. I don't know if it's supposed to be funny per se, but it's supposed to be horror, right? It's supposed to be bad, right? My version though is, I got something to say. I pray to Jesus today, and it matters very much to me. Our Savior's not dead. No, you don't know the song. Okay, well, if you knew the song,
no,
that would
but
be
I'm
very
shaking
funny.
my head because I don't want to hear any more of this.
So
it's giving me youth group flashbacks.
Well, that's the idea. It's like
and I don't like the way it makes me feel.
Lame youth pastor trying to make music cool for the kids.
Yeah,
and that's the idea.
Do you think the world needs more of that?
As a joke, maybe it's a joke.
Yeah,
it's making fun of
it's a joke that makes me feel bad, though.
Yeah, all right, fair enough. That's my joke. It's we take songs that we know have very non-wholesome themes and try to make them wholesome in a lame, cool youth pastor kind of way.
Yeah.
And
Could we do WAP?
Oh, you're not saying a slur against Italians. You're saying the Cardi B song.
The Cardi B song, yeah.
Yeah. There's the Lord in this house. There's the Lord in this house. It's a song about church. It's a song about church.
I hate it.
But you did laugh.
I did laugh, but I also was laughing because it was awful.
Well, that's the point.
I know, but then it was followed by the like bad feelings, like just like I didn't.
Okay, sure.
I mean, probably it's like more triggering for me as an ex-Christian. Like, I feel like if you're an ex-Christian, that could be especially triggering.
I'm also an ex-Christian, but yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's move on from this idea. We can come back to it if you change your mind, I guess. But I did want to bring up.
Wait, are you trying to convert me
to Christianz Bop? Christianzianity. I forgot about this, but I did have an update on our a previous episode's topic.
Okay.
That I wanted to talk about, which is our toilet talk episode.
Toilet
talk. Our toilet talk episode. I have discovered, I got an ad for this, and it is a fancy futuristic toilet.
Okay.
And I'm showing you the picture.
That's a trash can.
It does kind of look like a trash can. I think it has like an auto retracting lid or something.
That looks so uncomfortable to sit on.
It's very square and angular.
Yeah, like toilets are round for a reason.
It's a smart toilet. This toilet combines unmatched design and technology to bring you the finest in personal comfort and cleansing. Our most advanced toilet now offers personalized settings that let you fine-tune every option to your exact preferences, from ambient colored lighting and built-in audio speaker system to the heated seat and hands-free opening and closing. Other upgrades include power save mode for energy efficiency, emergency flush for power outages, and an intuitive remote that complements our app for advanced control. From its striking form to its exceptional water efficiency, this smart toilet marks a new standard of excellence in the bathroom.
Okay, so can we talk about emergency flushing for a second? You've reverse engineered the toilet to work the way all other toilets work.
Right. Other toilets already work without power. Yes. So it's kind of like the Tesla thing where like if they go out of power, they have to have a way for you to still open the door or whatever.
Right.
Right. Yeah. It's like, well, we over-engineered it, so now we have to make it work properly again. Yeah. So if that doesn't sound enticing enough, the price point on this will surely want to bring you into wanting to buy us one. And I will show that to you now.
$8,625.
So $8,600, whatever, for a smart toilet that hopefully will work at least as well as a regular toilet.
I hate the way it looks.
Yeah. It's very modern and sleek.
Yeah, modern and sleek.
And
but
sharp.
It
looks sharp.
Sharp corners.
Yeah, it looks sharp.
Which you don't want on a toilet.
No, you really don't.
It looks like a trash can.
Yeah. It looks like if somebody made a parody of how they think Apple would design a toilet.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah. It looks like, I mean, it does look like a joke.
Yeah.
Like a joke toilet.
Yeah.
Like if a rich asshole were to buy a toilet, this would be his toilet. And like, I don't think that you could make a parody of that. That would be more ridiculous.
More ridiculous than the actual thing.
Yeah. I don't know why you need ambient lighting in your from your toilet.
Yeah, from like the back of it glows with LEDs. I guess if it's at night, it could be like a night light so you can find the toilet easily, I guess.
But
on the other hand, you will be.
Do you got to keep your toilet remote by your bedside?
I guess so. Or you just leave it on all the time.
It's solving a problem that nobody has though, because like, do you have trouble finding the toilet at night?
Not really. I do have the problem of my toilet not cutting me when I sit on it though.
Is that a problem?
It's a big problem for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's also nobody has the problem where they're like, I need to flush literally flush $8,600 down the toilet.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's just an update on that.
You know what makes me angry? You know what makes me angriest about that is that they spent all this time designing this, right? So like they must know that there's a market for it somewhere.
I mean, I guess so. Yeah,
they must think there is.
Somebody must be buying them, I guess, or at least they think people will.
Yeah,
they certainly spent a bunch of like R&D time on it, and it said it's the 2.0 version. So presumably they had a 1.0 version, and that must have sold well enough for them to keep going, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
awful.
So we could do
truly awful this world we live in.
We could do a podcast where we investigate high-end toilets and the world of. Why did they make this?
Yeah.
Why did they make this? Could be the podcast, I guess.
That would put me in a bad mood, though.
Yeah, fair.
I'm already angry. I can feel my blood pressure rising.
Okay, so another idea I had. It is February 4th as we're recording this, which means it's 2 days after my favorite holiday, which is Groundhog Day. Mm-hmm. And typically, I like to watch the movie Groundhog Day on Groundhog Day.
Which we did.
One of my favorite movies, and we did do that. So the idea for the podcast is a podcast where it's the same every time. And maybe we just review or talk about the movie every week, the movie Groundhog Day.
That's a pretty good joke.
Yeah. And I don't know if maybe one of us every week, one of us is like, I swear we talked about this last week. And the other one is like, I love the part when they say, put on your booties, it's cold out there or whatever.
Yeah. Would it always start with I got you, babe? Would that be our theme music?
Right. That would be a problem copyright wise, but I guess maybe we could pull that off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe we could do a cover of it. That would probably work, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, that's the idea. We've already talked about we already listened to podcasts that do this basically, but the idea would be just taking it a little bit further.
Right.
Where we not only review it the same thing every week or talk about the same movie every week, but and we also have to do it for
I've noticed that you have a lot of ideas that involve trolling our listeners.
In fact, the very idea for the podcast that we're doing is kind of that. Yeah. Okay. So I'll take that as you're not 100% sold on that one.
I mean, I don't love Groundhog Day as much as you love Groundhog Day. I definitely have not seen it as many times.
Okay. This is a maybe morally bad idea.
I do love it, but So like, don't at me. It's a great movie.
Yeah, no,
I just haven't seen it nearly as many times as you have. I don't know if I'm
the
qualified.
problem. We would have to watch it every week and talk about it again.
Wait. We have to watch it every week.
Well, how else are we going to do it?
I mean, we could talk about it without watching it every week.
No,
No.
I don't think so.
No. Okay. This involves trolling me as well.
So you could be the one who remembers every week that we've already done this.
Okay.
And I'll be the one that's like trying to do the same thing every time. Yeah. That would be, that would in some ways be more difficult for me having to pretend like I don't know what's going on or whatever.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
Do you want to hear my maybe morally bad idea
Of course.
for a podcast? The podcast is called Ghost Makers. And what we do is we read obituaries and make fun of the dead people.
Oh, no.
And my thinking
no.
is, do you want vengeful spirits? Because that's how you get vengeful spirits.
Yeah. I mean, like on a serious note, like that one makes me feel real bad because I've unfortunately had dealt with a lot of death lately.
Yeah. Well, it was inspired by a thread I was reading where people were talking about how a lot of obituaries, I guess in the South specifically, that are for people that everyone hated will have like sort of coded language around like that sounds nice, but it actually like is telling you how much like he was a very memorable person or something,
like a bless your heart
kind of sort of thing. But like, yeah. And I was just thinking like, what an awful idea for a podcast that would be.
Yeah.
I just try to explore all the different ways that podcast ideas can be bad.
Yeah. That's a I don't think it's like morally questionable. I just think it's morally bad.
I didn't say questionable. I said it's morally bad.
Yeah, okay.
One more idea I had was the Plothole Repairmen, where we watch movies that have plot holes and try to think of better ways they could have worked or at least talk about why it's a plot hole or stuff like that.
So just the thing that you do whenever we watch movies.
Basically.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's that one.
I don't know if it'd be fun, but you seem to enjoy it.
All right. Well, that was one of those sounds nice, but is actually a backhanded.
Bless your heart.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're pretty far into the recording. Do we have anything we feel like we want to keep going on?
What have we discussed?
Cheese podcast.
Cheese.
Chocolate podcast. Chocolate cheese communism podcast.
I mean, I like that one. Soup bears.
Soup bears. You had another one, didn't you? Or was that it?
Heather
Fancast.
Heather Fancast. I had Chewing on the Microphone podcast.
Mm-hmm.
This Ghost Makers podcast.
Not doing that.
Analyzing the high-end toilet market podcast. Christianz Bop.
Christianz Bop, which I really don't want to explore further.
I think Christianz Bop might be the direction. Because think about us.
It makes me feel icky.
Yeah, but think about. But it's all right. Fine. Plothole Repairmen. I said Groundhog Day podcast.
Are any of these besides Christianz Bop piquing your interest?
Maybe Groundhog Day. We could just talk about why it's a good movie and stuff.
All right. Well, I mean, we did just watch Groundhog Day recently,
yeah,
so I guess it wouldn't be too hard to talk about. All right. What's your favorite moment in Groundhog Day?
Let's see. I quite like the part where he tells the groundhog not to drive angry when he's in the truck, when he's stolen the groundhog and he's driving the truck around and then he drives it off. Spoilers for the movie Groundhog Day if you haven't seen it. But I've seen it dozens of times, so it's not like it's hurt by spoilers.
I mean, if you haven't seen it by now, you're probably not going to.
No, you should if you haven't seen it.
I mean, you should, but like...
Yeah. But I don't know how you missed it.
I don't know how you missed it.
Well, Svetlana hasn't seen it, so if you're a kid listening, maybe that's why. But
yeah.
I don't feel like we probably have too many
to our
kids.
Podcast?
Yeah.
This podcast is not for children.
Kids. It's not super for kids. He steals the groundhog and then he's like driving around in the truck that he stole. He stole the groundhog and a truck. He stole the truck the groundhog was in, I guess. And then there's like the groundhog appears to be driving the truck and he's like, don't drive angry. What else do I really like? I just love the premise so much and the way that they never explain it and the way that he's like, it's ambiguous how long he's been in there, but it's at least many years. Apparently in one version of the script, it was like explicitly stated to be 10,000 years.
Yeah.
Although in one version of the script, I read that an early version of the script had an explanation of why this happened, and it's like a gypsy curse or whatever.
Oh, I'm glad
it's very good that they skipped that. Not just because of like the sort of racism against gypsies or whatever, but also it just makes
Romanis.
Of Roma people or whatever.
Yeah.
But also it just makes it way less interesting, right?
Yeah.
The fact that it just happens and then it just stops happening is much more mysterious and cool, I guess, than if he like pissed off some magic old lady or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think? What do you like? What's your favorite part of the movie?
I quite enjoy the moment when he drives off the cliff with Punxsutawney Phil,
mm-hmm.
and they Rita and Larry are looking down, and Larry says, well, you know, he might be okay, and then the car just explodes.
Yeah.
Kind of like the moment in the restaurant when things are like going well with Rita,
mm-hmm.
and then she mentions it's majoring in 19th century French poetry,
and he's like, wow, what a waste of time.
Oh, he's like, yeah. Then he tries to save it and be like, for somebody.
Right, for somebody else.
Not for you.
Yeah.
And then it just starts over.
Yeah. There's he's pretty sleazy in that movie in the beginning. And
yeah, I mean, that's the point, right?
Right. Like the point is that him being a bad person and turning into a better person or whatever, right? I like the part where it's like the third or fourth time he's done it. And he's at a bar with some like drunk local guys and they're like super drunk and he's like going to drive them home. And one of them is like standing there like kind of swaying because he's super drunk. But the other guy's like, no, you can't drive. You're too drunk. And so he's standing there and Phil, the Bill Murray character, is like, okay, do you want to throw up out here or when you get in the car? And the guy's like, I think both.
Yeah, that was a pretty good moment. I think we've all been there. If you are someone who imbibes, you have been there at some point in your life. Unless you have the kind of self-restraint I don't possess.
I had one time when I woke up after a party where I had gotten way too drunk. And I drank a bunch of water because I'm like, well, if you're hungover, you probably need water. And I drove home and I had to stop on the way home and pull over and puke up all the water that I had drunk.
I've been there too.
It sucked. Yeah. That's why
that's kind of what that's kind of what being pregnant felt like to me. Actually, it's like, oh, cool. Water can't even do water.
Can't even do water. Yeah. I mean, I like the scenes where he like there's a scene where he has perfectly timed everything out so that he can just walk up and steal a bunch of money out of the back of a armored truck or whatever. Because like the guys bring out the money and then get distracted for a second and he knows it's going to happen. So he's perfectly timed it to walk up and just walk away. And then he uses that
scene does bug me though, because he counts as he's walking up.
Yeah.
And like
they would have heard him
counting,
but they were like old security guard guys and they were distracted.
They weren't they couldn't remember how many bags they'd even brought out.
And then he uses the money to buy a fancy car and a cowboy outfit and take
specifically a Clint Eastwood
like poncho cowboy outfit and take some random girl that I don't think we see in the rest of the movie.
Yeah, to the movies.
And he tells her it's a costume party.
It's not explained.
She's dressed as a maid.
It's not explained at all.
No, but it's pretty good.
I wonder if there was more to that.
Yeah,
could have been cut. Because
I think it works regardless.
I mean it does. But it works because like it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. It works in that like what the hell is going on? Oh well kind of way.
Yeah.
Least favorite moment of the movie.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't. Well, there's different kinds of least favorite. The part that makes me the saddest is the stuff with the old man.
Oh, yeah.
There's like an old man that's like homeless or whatever, and he tries to save him several times and it doesn't work, and it's super sad.
Yeah.
There's also just like him doing like real sleazy stuff where he like finds out everything about this girl in one iteration, and then the next day or whatever, he comes back and pretends like he knows her, and then they sleep together or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty bad.
And he like just tells her he loves her so that she'll sleep with him and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean that all makes a certain amount of sense with his character.
What about the moment when he's having drinks with Andie MacDowell and she's like, I usually like to drink to world peace. I enjoyed your reaction to that part because you were like, why does he like her?
She's a pretty annoying like dork in a lot of ways. I mean, she's pretty, so she's got that, I guess. But like, she has like a well-meaning personality, I guess, but not a particularly.
It's a little bit like holier than thou.
Yeah,
kinda.
and also just like, you always drink to world peace. There's literally nothing else worth saying cheers about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a little heavy. You're like, oh wow, you must be fun at parties.
Yeah, right. Like, and I mean, like, I have read Baudelaire. I enjoy 19th century French poetry, but like the way she's like weird about it, like, you know, she's like,
it's very what's the word I'm looking for?
pretentious.
Pretentious. It's very pretentious.
Yeah. Honestly, like the character falls in love with her, you know, throughout the movie. I mean, he's clearly attracted to her to begin with and just wants to sleep with her, and then he like falls in love with her or whatever. I don't feel like the movie really makes me fall in love with her.
Yeah.
She's fine, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe she's his best option in that town or whatever. Because it's literally just the people in that town and her as his only option, since he can't leave the town or whatever for 10,000 years or however long.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I would be more into the there's a couple that he like helps get married because the girl's having second thoughts, and then and
they all show up at the same party at the end.
Yeah, which is a little weird because like, didn't you just got married and then like, you came to this party?
You didn't go on your honeymoon?
Right. But they come to the party to thank him for, you know, getting her you know, to go through with it. And then he's like, I got you this present, and he gives them WrestleMania tickets, and they're like both super psyched and jumping up and down.
That's also weird because like, did they not have a wedding reception?
Right, like, did they not have any, like, what, maybe they just got married at the courthouse or something.
Yeah, maybe.
But they implied that they're gonna go on their honeymoon after this.
Yeah. I mean, I guess maybe they were going to do that the next day.
Yeah, whatever.
I guess
it doesn't really matter. It's a little weird,
it is a
but
little strange.
Yeah,
but,
it's
hey,
fine.
Small town life, I guess.
I guess. I like Punxsutawney Phil. I like the word Punxsutawney and the fact that I know how to spell it.
Is a fun one to say.
I feel good about that.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know if there's any particular significance to the fact that the character's name is Phil and Punxsutawney Phil's name is Phil. Like, the movie points it out and obviously chose to name them the same, but I don't know if there's...
Well, the Groundhog's doing the same thing every year, right? Like,
yeah.
Because he mentions like them doing the same thing every year.
That's true, I guess, yeah.
He's like, it's the same thing every year. They bring him out and pretend he said something to them.
I did like that that he was like, the rat talks to them, and they talk to the rat, and then the movie shows them talking to the groundhog, and it actually puts in the little like chittering sounds for the groundhog, like it really is talking to them.
I feel like when he drives off the cliff, I feel like you hear like a little bit of a groundhog yell too.
Maybe he definitely talks to it it's sitting in the passenger seat while he's driving at one point, and definitely like chittering at him.
Well, there's like a groundhog scream.
Maybe you might
like
be right.
a very faint one.
Yeah.
I don't think I imagined that.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Guess we'll have to rewatch it.
I guess what I like about the movie is the premise is really interesting. It gets real dark.
Yeah.
Like, he tries to kill himself a bunch of times.
Yeah.
And then I guess it's a wholesome ending or whatever. And it's just kind of fun to see, like, it's also fun to think about like what you could accomplish if you had 10,000 years or like infinite time to just do any hobbies you wanted to try or whatever.
Yeah.
He learns how to play piano really well. He learns how to ice sculpt.
By having the same lesson over and over again, I guess.
Yeah. He learns how to ice sculpt. He learns how to speak French, it seems like.
Yeah.
He definitely learns some French poetry at the very least. What else does he learn how to do?
Well, he learns about everybody in the town.
Yeah, he learns like everything about everybody. He also like becomes really personable in the like in the beginning. He does his little the point of the thing he's doing in the movie is a newscast about Punxsutawney Phil and seeing the groundhog because he's a weatherman, and he just says some stuff to the camera as they're showing the groundhog or whatever. By the end of the movie, he's got every other news station person and the people picking up the groundhog and the whole crowd standing around him listening to every word he says, and he's giving like a great speech about what it means, what the groundhog means or whatever. Like, he just becomes like really likable and personable to everybody, I guess, because all those people haven't been here the whole time, right? They have, but they only remembered this day. So he managed to get all of those people that enraptured with him
in one day,
just in that span of time, that day or whatever, that morning.
Right. Yeah.
It's a very good
I mean,
movie.
it's a good movie. And it definitely makes me feel good and makes me think about how I'm spending my time.
Right. Oh, he learns how to throw cards into a hat because he's doing that with Andy McDowell at one point.
Yeah.
Because you probably would pick up a lot of really useless little skills and stuff too, right?
Yeah. But that like might impress somebody.
Right. Or you just did it because you were bored, I guess.
Right.
Yeah. It's interesting to think of what he would what he would have access to, because this movie's from like 1990 or something like that, or sometime late 80s, early 90s, I think. And it's interesting to think of what he would be able to accomplish with the internet now, because he could look up stuff on YouTube, right, and learn how to do stuff that nobody in the town could teach necessarily on that day.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of things, like a lot of old movies like that. I mean, Home Alone, right?
Well,
where it's like, yeah.
How would it be different if the internet was there? Yeah, that's true. Kevin could just FaceTime with his parents at this point.
There
right?
would be no problem, right?
Yeah, it wouldn't be a very big problem.
1993.
Okay, 1993. All right, well, I guess
go watch Groundhog Day if you haven't.
If you haven't seen Groundhog Day, it's a pretty good movie. You could watch it every single day for 10,000 years and really live the experience.
Yeah. Could you?
Well, you could try.
Everybody could try.
Everybody could try. You could certainly try. I guess that's the podcast this week.
Yep.
Do we have a name for our Groundhog Day Fancast? Maybe it's the same podcast every day or something, or the same podcast every week.
It's the same every time. It's gonna be the same every time. Punxsutawney Podcast.
Punxsutawney Podcast. Yeah, maybe it's just Groundhog Day the podcast.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's fine. Okay. Do you want to talk about our social media stuff?
Yes, you can find all of our links to our social media on our website, which is coolpodcast.website. You can email us at coolpodcast.website. We're on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads at whatshouldpod. And please send us your ideas, and we will give you a shout out and talk about how wonderful you are, much like we did our good friend Heather.
Yes, thank you, Heather.
Rate us, hopefully highly.
True.
And answer our Spotify questions, because Miles works very hard to come up with great questions each week.
That's right. I spend at least 7 seconds every week trying to think of a question to put on Spotify.
Yep. That's it. That's all I got.
Welcome to What Should Our Outro Be About? The outro where we try to figure out what this outro that you're listening to right now should be about. I'm still here.
And I'm also still here.
What is up, Muskibity Rizzlers? Just saying dumb slang is one of my ideas for our outro.
I think that you should cover I Got You, Babe, or at least just a little bit of it.
I actually really don't particularly like that song, but I guess I could learn. I got you. Yeah, I don't like the song very much, but I guess it's not a bad idea.
You just got to cover the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
and
not.
then
It's
we'll
not
have
even,
it if we ever decide to do that podcast.
It's not even quite the beginning, right? It starts a little ways into the song, maybe. Now put your little hand in, or whatever.
Is it that part?
I think so. I could look up, I guess, exactly what it is.
Yeah. Be very precise about it.
Mm-hmm. That's important.
Yeah. I mean, I could sing it, I guess, and you could play it.
It could be a duet.
Yeah. It is a duet, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not just pawning off work on you.
Yeah. My other idea was bat facts.
Bat facts.
Facts about bats. I know a couple of facts about bats, and that's about it.
Yeah.
I guess
I
we could do that.
it would be less related to what we've talked about this week.
That's true. Maybe next week will be bat facts.
Maybe next week.
Okay. All right. Well, enjoy this cover of a few seconds of I Got You, Babe, or whatever that
by
song.
Sonny and Cher.
But is that what the song's called? Probably.
I think it's just called I Got You, Babe.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Then put your little hand in mine. There ain't no hill or mountain we can't climb. Babe. All right. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.
What was that podcast about? I'm trying to figure it out. Didn't catch what that was about.